What's going on, Dolphin fans? It is your boy Dillon, and I got some news for you. Some pretty important news regarding, the status of the NFL and the desires of the NFL and what they're pushing for, etc., etc. Before I get into that, though, let me just make a quick note here. So, while there's a major difference between me and the other content creators, YouTube, Dolphins YouTubers, whatever. And the major difference between me and them, particularly right now, I mean, there's always been pretty significant differences, mostly in the things that we talk about. And that certainly holds to today. That mostly pertaining to the fact that the other Dolphins YouTubers are, making videos about, where the depth chart stands as per this position or what have you. And look, under normal circumstances, under a normal offseason, etc., 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 we would be doing that. Last season, we were doing that, right? Now, last offseason, it certainly pertained, my commentary certainly revolved around, the fact that they were stripping the team and, getting rid of all of our proven players, etc. And so we were talking about how we downgraded every position, but this season, as far as I'm concerned, we're not really afforded the luxury of even talking about those things, because as far as I'm concerned, there are far more important things than, the typical football operations. I mean, they're not in typical football operations. These are not typical times. Things are not normal. And so there's other much more important things to discuss than, we have, these guys at tight end and these guys at wide receiver. We talk about that, and certainly it is relevant, and there will be storylines regarding that. However, there is one storyline that dominates everything that goes on with the NFL right now, and that is the pandemic that we are currently and for the foreseeable future will be entrenched in. Now, also another quick side note, it is quite clear that people in power are doing everything in their power to ensure that the people are woefully misinformed about the actual status of what's going on. There is clear evidence of governors in states like Florida, for example, who are clearly suppressing the numbers, and it goes up to the federal government and our leadership there. So, and, giving out misinformation, etc., etc., etc. And so they're reopening the country. They're forcing people to go back and get out there. A lot of people want to, of course. And in some way, of course, I want to, right? Like, I want to get back to a normal world, whatever. However, I'm not an idiot, and I'm not going to do it before it's, time, until the actual data and the proof is there. And when there isn't proof and data mounting that the numbers are being fudged and oppressed, or suppressed rather, by the people in power. Anyway, let's get to it though, because the NFL intends on having full stadiums for this upcoming season, right? So they were talking about how, we're going to have guidelines for social distancing, and we might have, only a fifth of the stadiums full. Well, now they're pushing to, but this entire time, right, over the past few months, they've been getting less and less cautious, right? And because they went from, like a month ago or whatever it was, Dr. Alan Sills, the lead doctor, was like, we have to have mass testing and blah, 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 and all this, that, and the other. And now he's gone, hasn't said anything from what I can tell, from what I've seen. They haven't given him an opportunity to speak to anybody. And all I've seen from the NFL is pushing as hard as they possibly can, not just to have the season start on time, but at this point also have full stadiums. So let's go ahead and get into the actual reporting here. This is from Yahoo Sports. NFL is planning to have full stadiums when 2020 season begins. Real quick, I'm sorry, one more other little side note. I did a video previously about how the NFL is perfectly okay with people dying. They are. They admit that they expect there to be cases. Mark my words. Hear me now, quote me later. if they pack stadiums, there will 100% be outbreaks, and there will be a lot of people who die. Mark my words, if they do that, there will be tons of people who get sick and a lot of people who die, because it's going to be inevitable. And they just don't care. But they've proven that. They expect people to get sick, even people on the teams. They even expect players to get sick, which, I mean, it blows my mind how they could then think, okay, well, if your players get sick, especially if it's like key players, that's massively going to affect the team and the game. So, like, I don't even know why they would want to take that risk. But that aside, they're perfectly okay with that. And they're even perfectly okay with the fact that there could be, you know, let's say staff members who are older who get it and die from it. They didn't say that explicitly, but it's absolutely implied, and not just their words, but their actions. They totally admit to the fact that they expect people to catch it. But they feel like they have such great, structures and contingencies and backup plans and precautions put into place that they're going to be able to handle it. They're not. People will get it and spread it before they even fucking know they have it. So, I mean, it's a fool's errand, and it just shows how they only care about their greed and nothing else. They're literally going to put the lives of millions of people, additional millions of people, at risk just so they can fucking make money. Anyway, but let's get through this because there's some very important information in here. So, there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding the 2020 NFL season, but the league is planning to host games as normal. The NFL is currently operating as if stadiums will be packed with fans once the 2020 season gets underway, according to NBC Sports Washington. NFL EVP of Football Operations Troy Vincent made those comments while appearing on the Team 980 on Friday. Vincent said the league is planning for stadiums to be at full capacity, but admits that could change. Here's what Vincent said via NBC Sports Washington. We are planning to have full stadiums until the medical community tells us otherwise, NFL EVP of Football Operations Troy Vincent said on the Brian Mitchell Show on the Team 980 on Friday. Now remember when we are talking. We're talking about September, August, September. So there's a lot that can happen here. So we're planning for full stadiums. Okay, so pause there. That wouldn't be a terrible statement if it wasn't for the fact that you have the people who control the official numbers and data suppressing those numbers, lying to the public, pushing for fucking, not just pushing, but actually reopening things, right? And then, of course, you have tons of people who are morons to begin with, conspiratorial, whatever, and didn't believe it to begin with. And then there are going to be people who are convinced to go back out, blah, blah, blah. But it's massively problematic because the people who are telling the truth about this stuff are being silenced, while the people who have the power over it and all of the messaging power, all of the power to do something about it, are just completely lying to the public. So, you know, what health experts, I mean, the vast majority of health experts are saying that this thing could be, you know, we could have the worst winter ever, blah, 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 coming up. It's expected to spike and like things. Economic experts are telling about how, you know, the economy is going to continue to get a ton worse. Like, the actual experts are saying all these things, but it doesn't actually matter because the official people who have the overriding word on things, the people who are in power and who control all this, the governors and the political leadership in this country, they're all saying, no, you know what? It's perfectly fine. Everything's good. We totally got this under control. Go back out right now because the only thing that's important is my stock portfolio, and I don't give two fucks if you go out there and get sick or die as long as my money continues to increase. Let's also note that people like Jeff Bezos in particular have gotten incredibly richer. Their personal wealth has gone up immensely. The top billionaires in this country, including him, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, right? They saw their wealth over this past couple months increase by 34 billion. Was it billion? It was either billion or trillion. I want to say it was billion to be fair. But either way, they saw their wealth increase by substantial amounts of money during a pandemic and a collapse of the economy. Now, can anybody tell me what's right with that? Because I can't see anything that's all right or cool with that, yet it's happening. So obviously, all they care about is getting it going again. And look, I mean, there are apparently even reports that if there's supposedly a second wave, even though the first wave hasn't even stopped yet, but apparently if there's a second wave of coronavirus in the winter, Trump doesn't plan to shut down the country. So they're just going to let it run rampant and just murder fucking millions of people? Okay, well, I don't put that past them at all. But look, man, I mean, this is gonna, I'm telling you right now, and this is gonna be the last, I'm gonna try and make this the last thing I say, because this video's already going on 11 minutes. I've already said a bunch of shit of my personal opinions without reading through all of this. And so I want to try and get through all of this because I do have more information that I want to give you. But god damn it, man, it just pisses me off because mark my words, if they do this, if they open the season and if they pack stadiums, hundreds and thousands of people will get sick, and I don't know how many, but there will be a significant number of people who die because of this, and they just don't care. Anyway, let's get back to it. While the league currently expects full stadiums, Vincent makes it clear they won't force the issue. Bullshit. Bullshit. I'm calling it now. Bullshit, 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 bullshit. Because the medical community, at least the official medical community, again, the people who are in control of the numbers, and all of that stuff, are lying about it. And so, anyway, if the medical community determines it's not safe to have a large group of people gathered together in a stadium amid coronavirus, the league will listen. Okay, sure they will. And again, they don't even, anyway, Vincent admits the league already has separate plans in case stadiums can only be half full. I mean, even if it's half full, anyway, you guys know how I feel about that. It's unclear whether fans will be allowed to attend NFL games at all. A number of states have discouraged mass gatherings. Discouraged. But even Gavin Newsom, who said he, like a month ago or whenever it was, that he doesn't expect there to be sports in this state, is opening the fucking state. He's opening the fucking state now, months ahead, before it even gets there. And so if he keeps on that fucking pace, then it wouldn't be any kind of fucking curious if he then says, come August, September, we're good now. We're good. Go ahead. Play sports. And even if that's not the case, even if he says no, you then have fucking stupid ass fucking governors like Ron DeSantis in Florida who are like, okay, fuck it. If your state says you can't fucking have normal football operations, our state is open, even though they're having spikes in cases. Anyway, man, this shit pisses me off. Where was I? Many of those recommendations involve groups much smaller than you would expect at a football game. It's possible things change by the time NFL games are being played, but it's impossible to know whether that will be the case. At least one NFL team is being cautious regarding ticket sales. The Pittsburgh Steelers are making 50% of their tickets available for fans, just in case social distancing restrictions remain in place in August. So one team. And it just so happens to be the one team that also happens to be owned by the people of the fucking, right? Is it the Steelers? Oh no. Is it the Steelers or the Packers? I may be wrong about that. I think it's the Steelers though. Anyway, point is, it's a fucking disaster and only one team is selling half of their tickets. 50%. Even if they have a 50% full stadium, it's still going to be a fucking disaster. Being cautious isn't the worst idea right now. No, it's a fabulous idea, but they're not being anywhere near cautious enough. In fact, I would say they're not being cautious at all. They're putting on a guise of cautiousness so that way they can convince people that they're doing the right things, so that way they can later convince people that it's okay to go to a fucking game, in which case they will most likely get sick and possibly fucking die. While the NFL expects full stadiums in 2020, the league is wise to have contingency plans in place in case it doesn't happen. Here's the problem, though, with the contingency plans. Okay, the contingency plans become also null and void or not fucking efficient or effectual at all if it fucking gets to the point where they open the stadium and then pack it at the beginning of the stadium. If they get there and they fucking fill stadiums, it's gonna fucking spread, and then it's gonna be too late for contingencies or backup plans or what have you. And it's just gonna be a compounding problem, and it's infuriating. It's absolutely fucking infuriating. But let's see. So, I've been talking about how the NFL doesn't give a fuck and all this, that. So what is their motive? I mean, I made it clear it's their greed and their money, but let's actually get to some legit numbers here. Here's an article from Sports Illustrated. NFL fans at NFL games would cost the league and teams billionaires in revenue. Shocker. By how much? Let's take a look at the numbers. Coronavirus could cause major blow to NFL pocketbooks. According to Forbes, okay, if the NFL decides to go on with their season with empty stadiums, the league would lose about $5.5 billion, nearly 40% of the league's revenue. Okay, we're going to pause right there for half a second. Does anybody think that the league is going to be okay with losing 40% of their fucking revenue? Man, I mean, they're billionaires, so they really shouldn't give two fucks because they have tons of fucking money. But does anybody honestly think that these people with their infinite greed it's clear because everything else that they're saying is, yeah, dude, we are pushing absolutely, sure, we have some contingencies, maybe, possibly, potentially, we don't really give a fuck because all we care about is the 40% revenue that we're going to potentially lose when we can't pack stadiums, sell all those fucking tickets, sell hot dogs and beer to people at the fucking, in the stands. Fuck it, man. Fuck it. People get sick. They die. Who fucking cares? Because we'll have already sold those tickets and blah, 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 blah. And I'm sure there's fucking other things in the woodworks behind the scenes in which they will try and ensure that they are not held accountable or held liable for this as well. I mean, it's a fucking joke, but it's a sick joke because people are going to die. People are going to fucking die and they don't give a fuck. Forbes writer Mike Ozanian also went into detail about how much revenue each team would lose if there were no fans at the stadium. According to the report, the Cowboys and Patriots would lose more than half their revenue. Half of their revenue. Dallas Stadium brings in the most revenue in the league. In 2018, the Cowboys Stadium brought in $621 million, and their total take overall was $950 million. And by the way, this doesn't even just mean NFL games. Okay, so we're also talking about all the other events that they have at these stadiums. Anyway, the Patriots Stadium netted $315 million with a total team revenue of $600 million. Both the Giants and Jets, who both call MetLife Stadium home, would lose $262 and $218 million if games are played without fans. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. And so this article goes on to some other things that aren't actually totally related. I mean, it's closely related. Just real quick, they talk about the NBA is going to Disney. Maybe they're going to go to Walt Disney World in Florida to do their stuff. But that's part of what I'm talking about. Florida's open and letting all these other teams go there. And, I mean, it's atrocious. It's disgusting. But look, this is the world that we live in. We are run by a capitalist society in which, I mean, it's always been this way. Money has always been the tool, the primary tool of oppression of the masses by the few. At what point that and things like religion is like number 2 on the list. Okay, you have money. At what point in fucking human history can you think of, or how fucking far back do you have to go? Cavemans, before there were anything, before there was anything really resembling, full-on human societies, right? Like advanced human societies or whatever, civilized societies, before any of that, like caveman and shit, maybe, okay, fine. But as soon as there was advanced societies with economies and means of trade and shit like that, there have always been kings and fucking nobles who have ruled over the masses by two primary means: religion and money. So, I mean, we're never going to have a truly equitable or fair world until we get rid of capitalism, get rid of all economic structure, and build a world in which we have self-sustaining renewable energy sources, or systems rather, infrastructure. We automate everything. We get rid of capitalism and money, etc., etc., etc. Right? So, look, that's how it is. But that's the world we live in, and they just don't give a fuck. All they care about is their money and their profits, and they will happily send us, the sheep, their flock, to fucking die to their benefit. So, look, like I said, like I started this video out with saying, the other Dolphins YouTubers are talking about, the depth chart right now. And I get it. It's the off season going into the next season. But I'm sorry if people dislike the commentary and the things and the topics that I have to talk about. Well, too bad, because this is far more important, and I am not going to sit idly by and just talk about superficial bullshit while people's lives could be potentially on the line. So anyway, look, I hope you guys like my perspective, my videos, and the things that I have to talk about. It's apparently not for anybody, or not for very many people. I still only have 289 subscribers. But look, man, I got to do my part. I got to stay true. I got to stay honest. And I got to tell you guys like it is, man. And I got to give you the facts. I got to give you the data, and I got to give you the truth. And again, I am not going to sit idly by and talk about superficial bullshit when the lives of people will be on the line. So anyway, with that, I hope you do enjoy my perspective and the things that I have to say and talk about. And if you do, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.